If you've been watching what the Dallas Cowboys are doing right now, you can feel it. Something isn't finished yet. The roster looks close, but not complete, like a puzzle sitting on the table with a few key pieces still missing, and the clock is ticking toward the draft. And here's the interesting part. Those missing pieces, they might already be out there. We're talking about names that instantly change the tone of a defense. Veterans, proven players, guys who don't need development, they bring impact the moment they walk into the building. Calais Campbell, Bobby Wagner, and even a possible trade target in Alex Highsmith. So let me ask you right now, before we even go deeper into this, do you trust this front office to make the right move here? Or are you starting to feel that pressure building? Because Cowboys Nation, this is one of those moments where small decisions can shape the entire season. Let's start with a name that honestly doesn't make sense in the best way. Possible Calais Campbell. This guy is about to turn 40, and somehow he's still out there playing like time forgot about him. Interior defensive linemen are not supposed to last this long, let alone produce, but every single year, he keeps showing up tackles for loss, quarterback hits, still making life difficult in the trenches. And when you watch him, it's not just about stats, it's presence, it's length, it's experience. At 6'8", he gives you something this defensive line doesn't. Consistently have a physical, versatile piece who can line up inside, shift across formations, and still generate pressure when you need it. Now imagine plugging that into this Cowboys defense. Early downs, he helps against the run. Passing situations, he slides inside and gives you that interior push. And maybe even more important than all of that, he brings leadership into a unit that could use a steady voice. But here's the flip side, and you already know it. Age. How much does he really have left? Can you count on him for a full season? Or are you bringing him in as a situational weapon, knowing you have to manage those snaps carefully? That's the gamble. That's the chess move. So I want to hear from you. Type Y for yes or N for no. Would you sign Calais Campbell right now if you're running this team? And while you're thinking about that, if you're locked in with Cowboys Nation and you want updates like this every single day as we get closer to the draft, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're pushing towards 17,000 subscribers, and this is the moment where real fans lock in early. Because what happens next for this defense, it's going to matter. And this is just the beginning of the conversation. Because if you think the defensive line is interesting, wait until we talk about the linebacker situation, because that's where things start to get serious. I'm talking about a real problem that this team cannot afford to ignore. But before we go there, think about this: are the Cowboys making smart, calculated moves, or are they waiting a little too long to fix what everyone can already see? Because the next names we're about to break down, they might not just help this defense, they might be necessary. The linebacker room. This is where the Cowboys are walking a very thin line right now, and if you're being honest with yourself, you can already feel the risk building. This isn't just about adding depth anymore. This is about making sure the defense doesn't walk into the season with a structural weakness that teams will target every single week. Right now, the situation is simple and not in a good way. There isn't enough proven talent at linebacker. There isn't enough experience, and more importantly, there isn't enough certainty. You can like the young players. You can believe in their upside, but asking a group with limited experience to carry that position from day one, that's not a plan. That's a gamble. And that's exactly why two names keep coming up: Bobby Wagner and Bobby. Let's start with Wagner, because his name carries weight. When you talk about him, you're talking about one of the smartest linebackers of his generation. Instincts, awareness, leadership. He sees the game before it happens. He's the kind of player who can line everyone up, make the calls, and stabilize a defense that feels a little too young in the middle. But here's the reality you can't ignore: he's not the same player anymore. The production is still there in flashes. The tackle numbers still look solid, but the range, the speed, the consistency in coverage, it's not what it used to be. And in today's NFL, that matters. Teams will test you in space. They will isolate you. And if you've lost even half a step, they will find it. So the question becomes simple. Are you bringing in Bobby Wagner to dominate or to stabilize? Because those are two very different expectations. Now shift over to Bobby Okereke, and this is where things get interesting. He's younger. He's in his prime. And unlike Wagner, you're not asking what he used to be or looking at what he still is right now. A starting caliber linebacker who can step in immediately and give you consistency across the board. And here's the part that should stand out to you: he's still available. That could mean a lot of things. Maybe the market isn't there. Maybe he's asking for more than teams want to pay. Or maybe he's waiting, being patient, letting the right situation. Call me tuing. But if you're the Cowboys, you don't have the luxury of waiting too long. Because let's be real for a second, you cannot go into the draft desperate, and that's exactly what happens if you don't address this position before then. Every team knows your need. Every team knows you have to fix it. And the moment that becomes obvious, you lose leverage. You lose flexibility. You start reaching instead of choosing. That's how mistakes happen. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest about it. Who would you rather have right now? Type W for Wagner or O for a... And here's another one. For you, do the Cowboys absolutely need to sign a linebacker before the draft? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. Because Cowboys Nation, this is where you can feel the pressure building. This isn't about adding a luxury piece. This is about filling a gap that could define how this defense performs when the season starts. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, if you're riding with Cowboys Nation and you want this kind of real talk every single day, hit that like button and subscribe. We're pushing towards 17,000, and every single one of you is part of that climb. This channel runs on you, your takes, your energy, your voice. And if you really want to support the channel, you can always drop a super thanks. Think of it like stepping into the locker room and backing your team, because everything we're building here is for Cowboys Nation. Now here's where things take a different turn. Because what if the Cowboys don't just sign someone? What if they go out and make a move nobody's expecting? We're talking trade. And the name floating around, that one could change everything on the edge. Now we step into a different kind of conversation. Not patience, not waiting. This is about aggression. This is about whether the Cowboys are willing to make a move that actually shifts the balance of their defense. Because free agency is one thing. You're choosing from what's left. You're negotiating. You're filling gaps. But a trade, that's a statement. And the name being floated around here is Alex Highsmith. Now think about what that would mean for a second. You're not just adding depth. You're not just bringing in a veteran presence. You're adding a legitimate edge rusher who, when healthy, can produce at a high level. We've already seen a double-digit sack potential, tackles for loss, consistent pressure. This is a player who can impact games. And if you pair that with what the Cowboys already have, now you're talking about a pass rush that can dictate the game instead of reacting to it. But like every move that actually matters, there's a cost. The proposed idea floating around is giving up a third-round pick plus a late pick swap. And right away, that should make you pause, because a third-round pick isn't nothing. That's a valuable asset, especially for a team that still has multiple needs across the roster. So now you're weighing two different paths. Keep that pick, go into the draft, and try to develop another player. Or do you cash it in right now for someone you know can play? That's the crossroads. And then there's the contract. You're taking on real money here. This isn't a cheap addition. You're committing cap space to a player who, yes, can produce but also hasn't played a full season recently. Injuries have been part of the story the last couple of years, and that's something you cannot ignore. Because, let's be honest, this team cannot afford to keep adding players with availability concerns. Achi Somi point talent has to meet reliability. Now flip it to the Steelers' perspective for a second. They've got decisions to make. Big ones. Multiple edge rushers, contracts coming up, money tied up in key players. Moving Highsmith could make sense for them financially. And that's where opportunity is born. But opportunity doesn't mean obligation. So here's the real question: does this move make the Cowboys better enough to justify the price? Because if you're giving up a third-round pick, you're saying this guy is not just a piece. He's part of the core. He's someone who helps you win now. And if you're not sure about that, then you don't make the move. So I want you to decide right now, no hesitation. Type T for trade or P for pass. Would you pull the trigger on a deal for Alex Highsmith? And while you're thinking about it, this is where Cowboys Nation shows up. If you're still watching, if you're locked into this breakdown, go ahead and hit that like button. That tells me you're in this with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We're building something here on the road to 17,000, and you don't want to miss what SC coming next. And for those of you who really ride with the channel, who want to keep this thing growing every single day, dropping a super thanks is like putting points on the board for Cowboys Nation. It keeps the content coming. It keeps the conversation. Seeing how this plays out before. A team convinces itself that internal development will be enough, that young players will take the leap, that the draft will solve everything. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it leaves you one step short when it matters most. That's the line the Cowboys are walking right now. You can go the veteran route, bring in a Campbell for leadership and depth, a Wagner for stability, an Okrick for long-term balance. You can explore a trade like Highsmith and try to elevate the entire pass rush overnight. Or you can hold your picks, trust the process, and bet on the future. There's no perfect answer, but there is a consequence for getting it wrong. Because this defense doesn't need a full rebuild. It needs finishing touches. It needs the right pieces in the right places so that when the season starts, you're not reacting, you're dictating. And that's why this moment matters more than it might seem. So let me ask you this. Cowboys Nation, how confident are you right now in the plan? Give me a number from 1 to 10 in the comments. 1 being no confidence at all, 10 being you believe this team is making all the right moves. Because your voice matters here. This is your team. These are your expectations. And every move they make from this point forward is shaping what kind of season you're about to watch. And if you've been riding with me all the way through this breakdown, you're exactly the kind of fan that makes this channel what it is. So here's the deal. You want more of this. If you want real conversations, real analysis, no fluff, make sure you subscribe right now. We're pushing towards 17,000 strong, and this is where Cowboys Nation comes together every single day. Hit that like button if you believe this team is close, if you think they're 1 or 2 moves away from something special, and if you really want to support what we're building here, drop a super thanks. Think of it like backing your squad in the locker room, fueling the content, keeping the energy alive, and making sure we keep bringing you everything you need to stay ahead of the game. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about rumors. It's about expectations. It's about whether this team is ready to take the next step, or if they're going to leave that door slightly open again. And you already know this season, that margin is everything.